And here's the route they'll be racing over. Setting out from yesterday's finish in Bergerac, it's a rolling course through the Dordogne countryside with 2 or 3 substantial upward drags. The first time check comes after 19 kilometres, one of 2 official splits, although as always the organisers slip in a third on the day. The second will be taken at the high point of the route, 212 metres up a 3.5 kilometre climb to Font-de-Meaux. The late checkpoint comes after another climb, the Côte de Coulonnier-Chamier, with 6 kilometres to go, and there's even an uphill kick inside the final kilometre. So no teammates to help pace anyone back if they're flagging today. In fact, after 19 stages of routine, it's a completely different day from start to finish.
The first time check. And he's gone through there with a reasonable time, Valverde.
Yeah, 1 minute 50 off the 25.23. So 4 seconds slower than Bardet and considerably slower than TJ Van Garderen. But as you say, Paul, I'm not sure he can close a gap of 4.24 on Valverde.
Unless Valverde completely cracks in the last part of the race, it will be almost impossible. Just looking up the road there as we look here at TJ Van Garderen.
Well, this boy's fine because that, well, it's not Bauke Mollema up there. Is it Bauke Mollema up there?
Yeah.
Looks like it is. I couldn't see his green top to it, but it is. Well, if he's catching Bauke Mollema, that only emphasises the ride that Bauke is doing and why Koenig is going over him in the overall positions.
Well, he's catching him, Phil, for 3 minutes. The last 10 riders are separated by 3 minutes on the road. Now, we all know that TJ Van Garderen has got a very good individual time trial. The first time we really spotted TJ Van Garderen was in the Criterium de Dauphiné, when he rode an exceptional individual time trial. And since then, all of the races he's won, like the Amgen Tour of California or the US Pro Cycling Challenger in the United States, have been because of his time trialing ability.
Well, that is going to give him a real fillip now, bridging a gap of 3 minutes, and he's done about 24 kilometres of the 54. That's a big early catch, and the carrot, of course, is the Frenchman, Romain Bardet, because he wants to beat him, and if he can he's taken nearly a minute out of him already, but he needs to build on that because he needs 2 minutes 17.
Alejandro Valverde's position here is not giving anything at all away. He's using a reasonably large gear.
Well, Jean-Christophe Perrault has gone through that first check now, and he's gone through in 24.15, 42 seconds only slower than Martin, and so he's gone through with the 6th best time.
Yep, he's gone past just 5 seconds faster than TJ Van Garderen, so that's an impressive ride by Jean-Christophe Perrault. He certainly knows what he wants this afternoon. He knows he's got a battle between Pinot, who starts behind him, and Valverde, who starts ahead of him in the individual time trial.
Well, I'll tell you what, Valverde's lost big ground to Perrault in that first check. That's an enormous time loss for Valverde. 1 minute and 8 seconds lost in that 19-kilometre stretch of road. Now, what's this rider doing here? Or are we actually seeing the realisation of the fact that the French will finish 2nd and 3rd in the Tour de France?
Yeah, I think it just goes to show that the French were quite right, that Alejandro Valverde was coming into the last week of this race with a little bit of fatigue showing. Currently, the gap between the two Frenchmen is not much. Well, Richie Porte, you see, it's very, very different when you're not racing to win, when you're not racing to defend the overall leader. Richie Porte stops the clock there with 58th time. I think he'd be quite happy to pull the curtain across this year's Tour de France and say goodbye to it, and instead of looking backwards, concentrate on looking forwards. So we continue now to look down here on the Shark of Messina. The Toro of Spain, Alejandro Valverde, started the day in 4th place and only 15 seconds behind Pinot. Well, Thibaut Pinot has just gone through the intermediate time check at Belle-Masse at 19 kilometres covered with the 13th best time, 1:07 behind Tony Martin, and about 25 seconds behind Perrault. So Perrault taking the advantage and moving up into 2nd place there. The man who is not currently vying for the podium position is Alejandro Valverde. So the French currently holding on to 2nd and 3rd place in the overall standings, but we're still waiting to see what the time is going to be of Vincenzo Nibali when he gets there. Jean-Christophe Perrault, he wants this. He seriously wants to get himself the victory. And I keep thinking about last year when he wasn't far from the finish in the individual time trial. He went out in the morning. It was a nasty day, a little bit of rain in the Alps. He crashed and he fractured his collarbone. It wasn't displaced. He went to hospital, got it checked, and then came back to start the individual time trial. Strapped up. He was riding out on the course, hoping to defend a top 10 position in the overall standings, and he crashed again, not too far away from the finish line, right next to his family where they were watching the race. The bunting is out. The white jersey, yellow jersey, polka dot jersey. They're all hoping to see France put in their best performance in the Tour de France for many, many years. Got to go back 17 years to 1997 when the Frenchman last had a man on the podium. And they are so happy because this is going to be even better than that, because at the start of the day they're looking at 2 riders on the podium, and currently after 19 kilometers they are defending that position quite admirably. And I wonder if Alejandro Valverde is paying for the cost of all of the efforts he's put in over these 3 weeks. Nobody, by the way, at the first time check, with just 1 rider to arrive at the first time check, is rivaling the time of Tony Martin, 23 minutes. And wow, he has taken big risks going around that corner. He's a great bike handler, let's not forget. Comes from a mountain biking background, Perrault. But he wants this, and he knows at 37 years of age, he said himself, this is quite possibly the chance and the year of a lifetime. Valverde, on the other hand, he's slipped back quite a way when he came to the individual time split. Provisional time is way back.
Well, as we switch out on course, Jaime Zubeldia having a little bit of a battle here, but he's winning it, and he's continuing to turn in a good time trial at checkpoint number 2.
Well, let's not forget, you don't finish inside of the top 10 in the Tour de France if you can't ride a good individual time trial, and this one is not bad.
So Zubeldia going through, aiming for the 15th space, and pretty good for this aging rider now. As I can tell you, as we look at the computer, that Vincenzo Nibali has gone through 48 seconds off the best time at the first check, which puts him pretty much on a par with the American TJ Van Garden's time, because Van Garden went through at 47 seconds. Even so, Nibali officially given 9th best time at the check. As we see TJ Van Garden here, he's fighting now to gain more time. He's not too far away from the second check, but the man who's gone through that check, Lawrence ten Dam, Paul, he's conceded exactly 3 minutes to Leopold Koenig. So Leopold Koenig tonight is going to climb 2 places in the overall.
The man we're looking at here, though, 141, TJ Van Garden, he's looking to climb up from 6th place to 5th place overall, and I think that is quite doable. And if this man doesn't lift the pace a little bit, he may well find himself climbing up into 4th.
4 minutes 11 seconds Van Garden would have to gain on Alejandro Valverde to finish the Tour de France in 4th, which would certainly be TJ's best ever finish. And at the moment, the way Valverde is riding, that is not an impossible task. Now, this will be interesting. It looks as though Van Garden also has kept pretty much the same level as Leopold Koenig here, because they were only a second apart at the checkpoint, and it's going very, very close to be as though TJ has gone a little bit slower than Koenig just now.
Yes, but it's a question of he stops the clock there with the 4th best time at the intermediate time split. We've got to look at the reference to Tony Martin, who has absolutely ripped this time trial apart so far. But TJ Van Garden is thinking more about the riders who challenge him. The riders who are ahead of him in the overall standings tonight. More specifically, that, of course, is Bardet. There's a problem here. And this is Jean-Christophe Perrault. And he's got a flat tyre, puts the bike down to one side. He's not panicking at all. Stay nice and calm. He's waiting. They were obviously waiting for this to happen.
Well, this is what you don't want to see on a road as smooth as this. The tyres blown out in perfect conditions. Well, he didn't lose much time, and they may have enough in hand.
Well, that was pre-planned there, Phil. You see, they knew exactly what they were going to do if there was a flat tyre, and as soon as he had the flat tyre, watch him here again, Phil. He's at the side of the road, he stops, he just calmly puts his foot down, checks the back tyre. Yeah, it's too flat. He puts the bike to one side, and immediately the mechanic, we can't see him because he's off camera, is taking their bike off. As he comes forward, he's clapping his hands a bit there, but he still just wants it to happen a bit quicker.
Applauding there, the mechanic. We're going out to 20 kilometres to go now as he gets back underway here. He didn't lose much. He may have lost 10 seconds, 15 seconds, but you know, we're talking 15 seconds at the start, weren't we?
It's all gone wrong today for Bauke Mollema. He's not going to hold on to his position in the overall standings at the start of the day, and that was 7th. He's going to slip down to 9th place, and if he's not careful, might find himself slipping down even further, because Haimar Zubeldia has done a pretty solid ride at 134. He's lost almost 7 minutes, and that's what can happen when you have a bad day in a long time trial like this. This is Romain Bardet.
The young man of the future, but for Day it may not be the case. He was trying to fight for the top 3 positions in the race. For much of it he was in 3rd position. Now he's just trying to stave off the American TJ Van Garderen from stealing his 5th place in the Tour de France. As he comes round, he's slipping away. He's 3 minutes and 10 down. This is very, very close, Paul.
For the moment, it's just a couple of seconds on the shoulders of Romain Bardet, but Phil, we've still got the hardest part of the time trial to go. He should have gone through there about 31, 37 behind. So I think over the next part of the course, we'll see TJ Van Garderen overtake Romain Bardet in this competition and move up into 5th.
This man will be unconcerned by the drama created for the battles for the places behind him in Paris, because he started with too big a lead. Even so, he's delivering a very, very good time trial. He was 9th at the 1st checkpoint. Hasn't arrived, of course, at the 2nd checkpoint. At the moment, Perrault is holding, it says here, only a 6 seconds advantage over Thibaut Pinot.
Now, this is Haimar Zubeldia coming in. Trek Factory Racing, a pretty impressive ride by him. He's challenging some of the top specialists in the individual time trial. Luke Durbridge from Australia, 14th for him, as Durbridge looked at a time of 1:10. And Zubeldia is going to stop the clock there with the 16th best time. So his top 10 position at the end of the day should be quite comfortable and should remain there. Alejandro Valverde. Now, he seems to have recovered a little bit, Valverde.
Valverde may be pulling himself together. The clock will give us the answer at the moment. TJ Van Garderen went through in 49.27. This is now 51.39 and counting. Van Garderen could be claiming Valverde's place if this continues, because 3:37 is the gap at the moment of the leader, remember.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Valverde had a buffer of 4 minutes and 9 seconds over TJ Van Garderen at the start of the day, and that is getting wiped away quite dramatically.
Now let's welcome home the first hero in this battle for the final places, because Leopold Koenig today for the NetApp Endura team comes in 4th best time, and that, I think, when we see the other 2 Dutchmen finish, has put him up 2 places in the Tour de France. His ambition was to get a top 10 finish. He could now be up in 7th. Now back out to point number 2. Jean-Christophe Perrault here is going slower than TJ Van Garderen at the moment. Remember, we estimate about 15 seconds lost when he changed bikes with a flat tyre.
Yes, but it's not that much slower, Phil. Bear in mind, he's 4 minutes and 11 seconds higher than Van Garderen in the overall standings, and this man is vying for a podium position. It's a long way around those couple of corners, but when you include the bike change that he had to go through, that's not a bad performance there. He's going to stop the clock inside of the top 10 at the 2nd time check. 7th time for him, 1:51 off Tony Martin.
This is Pinot, and this is going to be crucial now. Perrault went through at 1:51 off the leader. As you see, Jean-Christophe Perrault in 7th place there. And that's going to go now. Perrault has held on to an advantage here over him. The 13 seconds are required for him to still be out of 2nd place. It's going to be close, Paul.
Well, they were separated by 13 seconds at the start of the day, and Pinot has still got to stop the clock, and that's gone by. It's a question of how he can recover and ride the 2nd half of the race.
Well, it's still a situation where Jean-Christophe Perrault remains a virtual 2nd place in the Tour de France as Pinot goes through 2:15 down on the leader, but more importantly, 24 seconds behind Jean-Christophe Perrault when it was the other way around by 13 seconds. Now what's...
He's just tapping his ear there. He wants to get communications. Obviously, you know, Phil, you've got to bear in mind he's riding through a tunnel of noise. The crowd are going bonkers here this afternoon because they're cheering on a Frenchman. They're cheering on a French podium, something they haven't done since 1997. He wants to know, where am I? Am I still in second? Am I in third place overall? For him, it is so important at 24 years of age.
This is Jean-Christophe Perrault now, racing for second place. He's lost at least 15 with the bicycle change, yet he's still holding on to the best part of half a minute. I've never known a time trial where we've shown you more of the players than the man who leads the race, but that's the way to cover this event. That's where the excitement is resting right now. This man is on a lap of honour. He has won the Tour de France.
Yes, but he wants to go out with a bit of pride as well here. He's challenging the time here of some very impressive specialists in the individual time trial. He's challenging the time of Tom Dumoulin, the champion of Holland in the individual time trial, and also the time of Leopold Koenig, who really did a phenomenal storming ride up to this point. Bear in mind, Phil, that for me, Vincenzo Nibali is now, once he goes through point number 2, he's going into the part of the course that suits him more than the early kilometres.
Amongst the top 6 riders in the Tour de France, the man with the best time is the yellow jersey, Nibali. He leads Perrault by 30 seconds in that rather personal race, but he's only 3 seconds quicker than TJ Van Garderen. Well, you don't often see TJ grimace like this, but he's given it 110% today as he comes up. He's rivaled the time of Koenig. He was behind Koenig, and now he's just slipped behind him again. As he comes up to the line here, beat the champion of France. 5th place for TJ Van Garderen. 2-7 off the victory.
Well, now it's all a question of where is Romain Bardet of France going to finish. It's a big battle. They started the day separated by... Oh, there's another problem, and this looks like Bardet out on the course. He's had to change his machine as well.
It is, well, can you believe that? Both riders on the same team.
Phil, at the third time check, there were 20 seconds in the virtual overall standings between Romain Bardet, and there you can see his hand going up. He's pointing to the back wheel. That's a back wheel flat tyre for him.
Oh, no. Well, I hope they didn't give him Perrault's bike, but I don't think that happened. They're different team cars. But that is amazing. And now they've got to go to the third problem. Well, this young man, he crashed yesterday, brought down in the crash by Peter Sagan, and now having these problems here as well.
He looks as if he's having a hard time getting back into his rhythm. He's changed machines. As I said, Phil, at the time check at 48 kilometres, he was separated by 20 seconds. He still had a 20-second advantage in the standings over TJ Van Garderen. That bike change there could cost him his 5th place overall tonight. We're back now with JC, as we're calling him now, Jean-Christophe Perrault.
Well, Bardet has got to do the ride of his life now to finish in that place, which will stave off TJ Van Garderen. 10 kilometres to go for the yellow jersey, who's still recording the best time of all of the top 6 in the Tour de France. It could be, he may lose the time trial, but he'll increase his overall lead tonight in the Tour.
Well, that's what he wants as he goes around these corners. He will have checked this out, and as you can see, he went round this corner very, very quickly. As soon as he can, he tries to get into the middle, keeps the gears tucked up nice and high. He doesn't look like a man who's weakling. Phil, by the way, he went through the first time check in 9th place. He moved up to 4th place in the next time check, and very shortly he's going to be getting into this climb. He's about a few moments on the road behind Jean-Christophe Perrault, who's really dreaming right now. He can seriously dream of 2nd place overall tonight.
Well, as they look at a Frenchman here who seems to be set fair for the podium, and a big day in Paris tomorrow, Romain Bardet has got to get across the line with a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, 33 seconds to keep his place ahead of TJ Van Garderen. And I'm not sure that's possible now. It's an incredible fight, one-on-one, 2 Frenchmen here, head-to-head, separated by 13 seconds at the start of the day. He's gone 12 the other way round now. And what would it have been without the bike change by Perrault? It might have been nearer 25, 26 seconds.
Well, it's a great battle for France. And finally, after so many years, they've wanted a duel. They've got one between the 37-year-old on the left-hand side and the 24-year-old on the right-hand side. the youth against the experience, and it's going to be a battle right the way down towards the line. But I'm sure, I've just got a feeling today, Phil, that Jean-Christophe Perrault wants to do something very, very special. This man, he wants to know whether or not he's going to create the big surprise here this afternoon, whether or not he could get himself not only the victory of the Tour de France, but quite possibly the victory of the stage. Now Bardet is coming into the finish line.
1:10.36 he wants, and look at this, he comes up to the line here. This is going to be desperately close. He's got to beat 1 hour, 10 minutes, 36 seconds. Otherwise, TJ Van Garderen gets the place. It is going to be desperately close here, and it's all down to that bike change as it goes by. He's lost his place to TJ Van Garderen on the line. I cannot believe it, Paul. The bike change cost him his place in the Tour de France. He goes to 6th, and TJ Van Garderen is up to 5th. Well, Pinot battles on here, but he doesn't seem to know it. Maybe his radio stopped working, but he's panicking. He's in and out of the saddle here. He's just trying to keep his rhythm, because he's still talking seconds.
Well, I tell you one thing, that he knows that it's seconds between himself and Jean-Christophe Perrault on the road. He knows that if he's got anything else in those legs of his and he can just pull 15 seconds out in the last couple of kilometers, he can climb back onto the top step of the podium. This is an unbelievable battle. The computer is telling us that these two riders are separated by 22 seconds on the road in the virtual yellow jersey standings, but 22 seconds with a charge to the line can be doable for a youngster like Thibaut Pinot.
The time trial has had its say. There was always the danger the time trial would have been a procession, but it looks to me as though there's no chance here. He's held on to his 4th place, but he never was in a position to challenge for the podium in Paris. He's just been that little bit too tired. He showed us in the Pyrenees he was weakening, but he only lost seconds there, so we thought he might have bounced back today, but it's not going to be.
Well, Alejandro Valverde, Phil, he's bounced back quite a bit this afternoon. He's ridden this last part of the race on sheer courage.
4:28 off the day's winner. I think we can call Tony Martin that, judging by all the time checks, but Alejandro Valverde, he will finish tomorrow the Tour de France in 4th place. Still his best ever finish.
Well, Jean-Christophe Perrault now, he's going to cross the line when he comes up to here, and he will look back over his shoulder to see what the clock says, and he will count by to see whether or not he's moved up from 3rd to 2nd place overall tonight. What a dream for this 37-year-old.
What an atmosphere from the French public. They're cheering a podium finisher tomorrow in Paris for sure. Whether it's 2nd or 3rd, we'll have to wait for the arrival of the next man. Jean-Christophe Perrault comes home there, Paul, with an incredible show of strength. He won't know about the misfortune to his young teammate. He'll now wait to see exactly what this man can do out on the course. Thibaut Pinot here, who's coming in. He's not tickled the leaderboard. He was 12th at the last check and 11th at the previous one. That's probably where he finished in the top 12 riders of the day. It's all about time against the man nearest to the best time that wins the Tour de France for the full distance, not just the time trial. This has been the most amazing day of time trialing.
Just check this out, though. This is smoothness. This is a real perfect poetry in motion for the man in the yellow jersey. A little anecdote, by the way, before the start of the Tour de France, the organisation provides this aerodynamic skin suit, and certain riders went to see whether or not they wanted a made-to-measure skin suit. And they made one specifically to measure for Vincenzo Nibali.
The crowd can't believe this. They're cheering a 2nd Frenchman to the podium in Paris tomorrow. Thibaut Pinot comes home. The time of 19:01 has gone by almost half a minute. He drops from 2nd to 3rd in the Tour de France. But tomorrow, 2 Frenchmen will stand on the podium. It's their best tour in 40 years. This has been an amazing time trial. Throughout the day, the cameras have looked at the battle, the 2nd place in the Tour de France. I can't remember a time trial when we've done that before. But now it is the turn of the man in the maillot jaune. A fitted skin suit he'd ordered before the start of the Tour de France. He is now coming into the last kilometre. Vincenzo Nibali here. Not only has he won in the mountains, he's shown us he can ride a time trial against the best in the world. Yes, the world champion Tony Martin will win, but this man is racing now for a top 4 finish. As he comes down in front of this enormous French crowd, an Italian will win the Tour de France tomorrow. He's gone faster and faster since he started, and he will actually increase his overall lead in the Tour de France tonight because of the way he has ridden against his nearest contenders. He looks now for the finishing line, the last big challenge of this year's Tour, the individual time trial, the race of truth. And boy, has that revealed all of the top finishes for us tomorrow in Paris. The clock is on screen now as Nibali looks first of all at the time of Tom Dumoulin, the champion of the Dutch. And he's not going to match that time as he comes off this bend. It's going to fall away. Now he will be aiming at the time of Jan Barter, the champion of the Czech Republic. And that's third place. And there's another great ride too by another rider on the Czech Republic today, Leopold Koenig, who looks set to finish this in fourth unless Nibali can squeeze inside his time. He sits up, he changes gear and he beats him, and he drops into fourth place behind Tony Martin on the day. Well, that's how you ride a race when you're the yellow jersey of the Tour de France. Tomorrow, the winner.
C'est beau.
That's what second place in the Tour means to a Frenchman, certainly that particular Frenchman. But let's start with the stage result. Tony Martin won it by a mile, which is to say a minute 39 from Tom Dumoulin. Then Jan Barter with Vincenzo Nibali fourth, the last man within 2 minutes of him. Leopold Koenig was fifth, TJ Van Garderen sixth at 2:08, Jean-Christophe Perregaux seventh at 2:27, and Sylvain Chavanel eighth. Thibaut Pinot was 12th, 45 seconds behind Perregaux, 3:12 behind the winner. Romain Bardet was at 4:17, crucially 2:09 behind TJ Van Garderen when he only had 2:07 to spare. Alejandro Valverde's challenge just didn't materialise, slower than the Frenchman behind him on GC, never mind the ones in front of him. Geraint Thomas was 34th at 5:01, and the Dutch Belkin riders had a terrible day. Laurens ten Dam was 55th at 6 minutes 3 seconds, Bauke Mollema 140th at 9:26. So Germany's sixth win of the Tour, with a good chance of making it 7 out of 21 stages tomorrow. And if Tony Martin's time trial win lacked the drama of his road stage victory, that's only because he's so much better at it than the rest of the field.
It's not always easy to stay on the start, and no anything else than a winner would be disappointing. So it puts a lot of pressure on me. But in the past, I really learned to handle this pressure, and it even give me more morale for the race. And right from the start, I felt really good, and I knew it really can be my day. And yeah, now I'm just happy about the result, about also the way I did the race. It's not just winning by maybe 10 seconds, really a huge advantage. Yeah, I'm just happy, and it also gives me now a lot of motivation for the Worlds.
Vincenzo Nibali had no chance of beating Martin, but as on every key stage of this year's Tour, he extended his lead at the top.
Sono molto contento, no, di questa vittoria in Italia, anche penso che sono super contenti, mi hanno seguito e quale vittoria più bella da dedicargli se non proprio il Tour.
So there's the order at the top definitively established for the ride into Paris. 4 men have held second place behind Nibali over the last 8 days, but Jean-Christophe Perregaux is the last in the sequence. Thibaut Pinot finishes on the podium overall, as well as being the best young rider. And perhaps it was age that told today over Alejandro Valverde, whose final tilt at the Tour podium was a windmill too far. TJ Van Garderen takes fifth by 2 seconds from Romain Bardet. Van Garderen will regret his one bad day in the mountains, Bardet his appallingly timed puncture. Leopold Koenig rode himself up into 7th today, and Aymar Zubeldia to 8th. Right, let's hear from the key players, starting with the second place winner.
Ouais, je suis très heureux. J'étais pas vraiment venu pour ça en début de tour, j'étais venu pour un top 5. Bon, malheureusement pour Contador et Froome, ils sont tombés, ça a ouvert un petit peu le champ des possibles. Et voilà, au fur et à mesure des journées, je commençais à penser à cette deuxième place, donc pour moi, c'est une petite victoire.
Thibaut, une course exceptionnelle aujourd'hui, sous une grande pression.
Ouais, une grande pression, mais la pression, je ne l'ai pas trop ressentie. Pour moi, j'étais assez serein, tout le monde me donnait perdant aujourd'hui, donc je pouvais que faire bien. Moi, je savais que j'étais capable de battre Valverde ou Perregaux, donc j'ai réussi à battre Valverde et c'est super pour mon équipe et pour faire 3e du Tour de France, c'est extraordinaire.
C'est extraordinaire. Est-ce que vous avez remarqué les derniers jours que Valverde est fatigué?
Ouais, sûrement. Après, c'est sûr que moi j'ai 24 ans, lui il est un peu plus âgé que moi, donc c'est sûr qu'en fin de grand tour, la jeunesse l'emporte peut-être.
Alejandro,
muchos de esto, Alejandro.
estás bebiendo, se ha ido al podio. Creo que lo sabes.
Sí, sabía. ¿No has tenido un buen día a las piernas? ¿Qué sensaciones tienes?
Bueno, he ido lo más rápido que he podido y ya está.
Te iban diciendo las referencias desde el coche, Alejandro. La primera referencia ya lo sabías.
Sí, más o menos, sabía.
I really couldn't have gone any faster. So, I mean, obviously, I'm dead tired after 3 weeks, so I can't say that it's like the highest power I've ever put out in a time trial, but I think that's normal after 3 weeks. I put it all out there, and I'm definitely satisfied.
Unlike Paul Romain Bardet, he looked drained and possibly in shock at the finish, and still wanted to double-check the result on Matt Rendell's iPad to make sure he'd really slipped to 6th.
Everybody said Bardet isn't so good in time trial. He was lost maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Without this puncture, I would be in the top 5, so I'm a bit disappointed.